And the first wave of a winter assault is on. The first big winter storm of 2020 started a few hours ago, and it won't let up for another 24 hours. Right now, rain is the big issue, but you can see ice and snow are in store for most of our viewing area. Right now, the time's 7:31. Good morning. I'm Joe LaFurgie. We start with our team dedicated to the big storm this morning to make sure you know what to expect today. Justin Kohler is on the roads. Emily Skydema has rain totals. But we start with Ellen Baca with the storm's track and what's ahead for the day, Ellen.
So far so good with this storm. As you're waking up, a lot of us seeing rain, and that's actually what we were expecting for this time. It's just now that we're going to start to see some of the colder air move into some of our northern viewing areas and transition things over to a wintry mix. If you live around I-94, you might be waiting even until afternoon before you begin to see a wintry mix at all. Again, that is all on track with the forecast because it's going to take a while for the cold air to move down. Here's a look at Storm Track Live. You can see some lighter rain now that the heavier stuff is starting to slide out towards the thumb. We have more rain just upstream, though. This is tapping into a very hefty moisture source, the Gulf of Mexico, and this is bringing it steadily up into West Michigan. So you can see how the first batch is cutting across the thumb here, and the second batch is starting to take a wave up a little bit more due north. So all of this is going to be thrown in, and we are expecting this to fall as a wintry mix because at that point in time, temperatures will be really close to freezing. So the further north you are, the better chance you are of seeing snow. And the further south you are, the longer you're going to have to see rain before flipping over to freezing rain and finally snow. Everything has to do with this. It's the battleground between the warm and the cold air. Cold air is denser. So as the cold air pulls in, it creates this wedge of chilly air near the surface, and the warm air continues to roll on over top of it, giving us this setup for sleet and freezing rain. Again, things still look on track for the winter storm. Winter storm warning is in place except for the southern Roanoke counties, Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Calhoun. Your winter storm warning technically doesn't even go into effect until 1 o'clock. Emily Skydema is here now. She's going to show us why with the Futurecast and also give us a map of who's most likely to see what impacts.
So we've been coming outside every half hour, and you can really start to feel those temperature differences. Earlier this morning, temperatures were still close to 50 degrees. You can feel that cold wind coming in right now, and we still have some light rain coming down. We're just going to be watching to see when we can start to see that rain transition over to a wintry mix. So we've had that light to moderate to even heavy rain through the morning, and you can still see it going down the driveway just a little bit. We've had some high rainfall reports of around 1.87 inches in Cannonsburg, 2.5 inches over in Battle Creek, so a lot of moisture with this system. Here's what we're looking at with the storm forecast. As you head farther to the north, you have a better chance of seeing some rain turn to that mix or snow earlier on in the day. We're already seeing that. So those areas will likely see some higher snowfall accumulations, 4 to 8 inches of snow possible there. Farther down to the south, those areas in pink, will likely see that transition happen later on in the morning. We have a chance of seeing 2 to 4 inches of snow for those areas highlighted in pink. And in that light pink, we have a better chance of seeing some higher ice accumulations as well. Down to the south, those areas in green, it might not be until late afternoon, early evening that you start to see that transition over to more of a wintry mix. Walking through that on Futurecast, we'll start off around 8 a.m. At that point, to the south of 96, you're still seeing that rain. Once we get to the early afternoon, we see that wintry mix dropping farther down to the south. By 5 p.m., the mix is widespread. We have snow off to the northwest. Overnight, everyone is going to be seeing that wintry precipitation, and off to the west, that snow will be wrapping around. Now, the good news, by tomorrow morning, we're dealing with mostly snow, and we are going to start to see it move out by tomorrow afternoon. Some sunshine is actually in the forecast. Ellen will have a look at the 8-day forecast coming up. For now, in Grand Rapids, Emily Skydema, News 8.
Thanks, Emily. And our team coverage continues now with Justin Kohler. He and photojournalist Bilal Kurdi are surveying our flooded roads right now. And Justin, tell us how it's looking out there.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Yeah, so we're back on Wealthy Street now on the east side of the river. We're heading back to one of those points where we saw it really saturated and flooded earlier this morning. Take a look at what we've been seeing. This has been the case for much of the low-lying areas throughout the city. Flooded, and take extra caution when you're passing those high water points if you have to, because your vehicle could stall, and you certainly don't want that to happen to you today. Now, if you have to travel, and throughout the day, police say you'd be wise to take along with you a flashlight, water, extra food, and this is going to be especially important as we continue throughout today and into this evening because we're only getting more rain throughout the whole morning, and it's going to get colder, as our meteorologists have been saying right along, and when that freezes, that's when we're really going to have some trouble. Especially, too, the salt trucks have not been out this morning. We haven't seen a single one because we've been getting just so much rain. Any pre-treatment that they would lay down would just simply get washed away, and it would be pointless to do so. So be sure, if you are heading back out on the road, I know we're throwing a lot of information at you this morning, but take along those extra supplies because if you find yourself in a pinch, it might be a while before emergency responder crews can get you because there could be a lot on their plate this evening and in this afternoon as well when those temperatures continue to drop. We are going to see you one more time throughout the morning, Joe, and we will show you some more high water as we get there. We're driving live in Grand Rapids. Justin Kolar, News 8.
Thanks, Justin. We're tracking a lot of flight cancellations at the Gerald R. Ford International Airport right now. Dozens of arrivals and departures are canceled for today. Now, we're not sure if it's all weather-related here or elsewhere or another problem leading to those delays. We are working to get in touch with airport leaders to make sure, but you need to make sure you check your flight tracker before you head to the airport this morning. And power outages are not an issue in West Michigan yet, but Consumers Energy is already on alert, ready to spring into action if the ice hits and takes down the lines. We've been staying in contact with the utility these past few days as they prepare for today's storm. Consumers Energy spokesman Roger Morgenstern joins us on the phone right now. Good morning, Roger. And despite all that rain out there, I guess you could call this maybe the calm before the storm?
Yeah, I would say so. We're having some scattered outages in West Michigan, which may be because we've had some pretty heavy rain in the Muskegon area earlier this morning. And so we're responding to those. But, yeah, it certainly we haven't seen the worst of it yet. We have our equipment and personnel staged primarily in the middle of the state, if you will, from south of Muskegon all the way over to Flint. Anticipating that's where they're going to get most of the icing. As Emily said, the weather continues to change a few degrees here and there. We could see more sleet than freezing rain. But we are prepared for the worst. We've been watching this for several days. We've got extra people on call and ready to respond.
Well, you talk about where you got your crew stationed right now. That's going to be one of the tough parts. We're looking at some video from last February, ice storm that hit the area last year. It's got to be tough to try to determine where to put your people since this thing has got such a wide spread to it.
Yeah, it really is. When we get at least a quarter of an inch of ice on the lines, we start to see outages. So that will be our first indication, frankly, is when we start seeing the ice accumulate. The February storm from last year, we had some areas that had almost half an inch of ice. And one of the challenges with ice storms, and it's a good reminder for your viewers, is that you may not get you may not lose your power in the initial ice storm, but when that ice falls off the line and springs back up, it may cause an outage. So we have different ways of outages. I remember last February, it was just we had several days where people would have power, then they wouldn't, then they'd have it again. So it can be very frustrating for our customers, but rest assured we are on it. We are ready to respond, and we're going to be out there and do it as quickly and safely as possible. Justin was talking about the roads. I have to emphasize safety. That's our number one priority with our crews. And so if the roads get too bad for us to be out there, we won't be out there because we've got to keep them safe. But we're working with the road commissions and MDOT to make sure we know how the roads are, and when we can get out there, we will as quickly and safely as we can.
All right. Roger Morgenstern, spokesperson with Consumers Energy, joining us on the line this morning. Thanks, Roger, and we'll hope that things don't get too tough for your crews out there.
Thank you, Joe.
And remember to stay with Storm Team 8 as we continue to track the storm. Get updates on our website and on our free Storm Team 8 app. You'll get live radar and alerts from the tracking center sent right to your device.